Greetings, adventurers, and welcome back to Abnormal Voyages. My name is David, and today we find ourselves in the lovely city of St. Augustine, Florida. We're here at the Medieval Torture Museum. We're gonna head upstairs and see what kind of trouble we can get into. Tag along.
This museum does a fantastic job of having a foreboding feeling right away. They hand you this little coin, you slip it into the machine to get inside, and after that, there's no turning back. No time is wasted as they jump right into showing you different tools that were used in torturing people and graphic depictions on the walls of just what these victims may have looked like in the middle of having these procedures carried out. Out of all the many different tortures that were on display here, I think the running theme is that nobody that went through one came out very well on the other side. Even if it didn't kill you, it absolutely left its mark on you. I guess that was enough to stop you from doing whatever it is you did to get in that situation to begin with. Some of the crimes weren't really all that bad, though. These masks here were mainly used to stop people from gossiping around town. They weren't able to speak while the mask was on. That's going a little far. And then some of them got really bad, such as this bull statue.
This next to me is the Sicilian bull. At first, it just seems like a nice statue of a bull. However, if you notice this pulley here, this was actually used to kill people who had murdered or been convicted of other heinous crimes. This was their death penalty. People would be put inside and cooked to death by the flames underneath. The metal would heat up until they burned alive.
Some of the torture methods on display, while gruesome, were actually pretty creative. There was certainly no lack of imagination when it came to different ways of inflicting pain and punishment on people. This one here, they would tie people to a wheel and then just spin them around. There were, of course, old classics like the gallows here for hanging people who had committed crimes. But for most, that wasn't nearly entertaining enough, so they turned to other more graphic ways of taking care of people. This here was your classic stretcher. People would be tied to it and stretched out, but right in the middle they had a nice bed of nails there, so it made sure that those spikes were running into their back the whole time as they were being stretched out and their bones being broken. Ugh. And then sometimes they didn't die, they were just mutilated in different ways. Here are a couple of tools that were used for that, and then some examples of hands that had fingers cut off and things like that to usually punish them for things like theft, which were, I guess, smaller crimes. But most of these were completely taking care of somebody through things like good old decapitation. Here's a guillotine and just slides on down and cuts their heads right off.
I may not have all my ducks in a row, but my heads certainly are.
Yes, there was certainly no lack of sharp torture instruments, but there was also a lot of confining ones that were put and usually made for people that had to go through public humiliation of some sort, showing the shame of what they had done and leaving them out there for the public to decide which ways they should be punished and catcalled and made fun of. Guys like this happy executioner over here were always close by to implement whatever they needed to get the job done. It seems those hoods were quite a fashion statement in these days. The iron boots, though, not really something as fun. Neither is this cage here. I got a feeling that guy didn't want to be in there. Sometimes people deserved the punishments they got, but a lot of times it was over some pretty silly reasonings. A very classic example of this was, of course, back when they were hunting down witches. They used torture to hopefully get somebody to say if they were a witch or not. Definitely not a great method.
So this was a classic witch scale. You could step on this and it would tell you if you're an imp, goblin, witch, knight, saint, or angel. We're going to find out which one I am. All right, I think that means that I'm a saint. Look at that. I don't have to get burned at the stake. At least not this time.
Not everybody was as lucky as me, though. If they decided or even thought, hey, that's probably a witch, they dispatched them usually in pretty gruesome and quick ways. One very morbid method of torture, they would tie huge rocks to your feet and then put you on this horse that actually would slowly begin to split you in half from the weight that was on your feet on both sides. The corners were very sharp on the top of it there that you sat, and it would begin to just cleave right through you. Not a very fun toy. Sharp things, blunt things, hard things, soft things, it didn't seem to matter. If they wanted to torture somebody, they found a way to get it done. And, like I said before, this hooded executioner look definitely must have been in style. A lot of people rocked that. Restraining devices were, of course, very important. You didn't want somebody getting up and walking away while you were trying to torture them. I mean, had to keep them in place, right? So there was no lack of things for that. And if all else failed, just tie them to a big wheel until they're a skeleton, right? A lot of tortures had a psychological aspect too, such as this one here that didn't just cut you in half, it slowly cut you in half, just to make sure that you felt every single swing. And then sometimes, after they killed someone, they would take the head and stick it on a pike there, just to show you the crowd you'd be hanging out with soon. Or this particularly a gruesome way to die, they would trap a rat or other animal on your chest, and then not feed them, so eventually the animal would dig into your chest and eat you alive.
This particular device was used to find out if somebody was a witch or not. If they were accused, they were tied up, as you can see, on the wooden parts here. This part was taken, and they were lowered into the water to drown. If they lived, they were a witch, because only the devil could help you survive something like this. And if you died, well, you were innocent, so I'm sure you went to heaven.
The Judas cradle was a little similar to the wooden horse from earlier. You would be suspended and then slowly lowered over a pyramid-shaped, sharp stone in the middle, and as you lowered down, it would slowly tear you apart. Ugh, not fun at all. But hey, maybe you'd get off lucky, and instead of ripping you apart, they would just nail your tongue to a piece of wood. As much as that would hurt, I guess I'd rather have my tongue impaled than my entire body. That seems a little worse.
We have one of your classic torture devices here, the Iron Maiden. People would be put inside. As you can see, this made it a little uncomfortable for when we shut it. And suddenly, they're not too worried about other things.
Another one that I personally think would be very painful to go through was basically melting / soldering your mouth. They'd put hot iron in there so that it all burned up, and ugh, even talking would be difficult then. And these were sharp implements that were put on your neck, just so that even moving around was torturous. And then for those people that they really didn't like, they had this lovely chair, which I like that they had to put a sign in saying, "Do not sit," as if somebody was like, heck yes, that's where I want to be. Overall, for anybody who didn't already know, I think this museum definitely drives home the fact that torture wasn't very fun to go through. Well, that's all the time we have for today, adventurers. My name is David, and this has been Abnormal Voyages. Thanks for tagging along. We'll see you next time.